Hello, I'm Roman, and I wanted to talk about the topic that I actually struggled to start by myself for many years, but recently I kinda break the wall and finally proceed with this. And this is working on an open source project, or specifically building your own open source projects and publishing to the public. In general, OSS or open source software is the software that is distributed via source code, and you can use it like whatever you want, even to use it in a commercial usage. Lots of the commercial products and lots of the commercial software actually using a lot of the open source code inside. And there are many benefits working on the open source software, like if you want to learn something new, if you want to contribute to the library that you're using, or if you want to build a portfolio or something like this. One of the ways to do this is to participate or even create your own open source software. And I wanted to make something open source, but I actually struggled to start. Because I had this blank page struggling where you don't know from what to start. And then for some reasons I have this internal pressure or internal kind of assumption that I should build something, something great from the beginning, because other than that, it's just not worth publishing, like publicly. Turned out it's not like this, but that kept me away from building even small things and open source them. But after running 2 YouTube channels, it's actually changed the way I look at the small things and look at the attitude to build something and publish it. Because one of the things that YouTube taught me, running the YouTube channels taught me that even if it's not perfect, even if it's something small or far away from ideal, I should publish anyway, because it's the only way to actually proceed. Like doing these iterations from the beginning till the publishing, that I can consider as something finished. And we will talk about this a little bit later, how I can apply it to publishing of the open source project. So for the practice, I decided to solve one very small thing that I personally had. And it's not even like a problem, it's more like a quality of life improvement during the coding. And most likely just 2 people will use it, myself and another person who actually had an interest in this project and posted a few questions on the GitHub. Like, I will describe the idea very quickly, and it's pretty simple. Like the Visual Studio, not the Visual Studio Code, in the Visual Studio, you have an ability to search and install the NuGet packages, like the dependencies for the .NET, well, I think mostly for the C#. You can do it right from inside the IDE, the Visual Studio itself. And I wanted to do the same, but for the NeoVim. So basically, you would have an option to select a dependency that you want to install without going into the terminal, but actually a way to search for other projects that you can install. And the trickiest part was actually not to build the UI for the NeoVim, because I used the Telescope and it has a very good plugin system, so it was more or less easy to implement it for the person who doing the first plugin for something in the entire career. But actually building the searchable index that you can use to search for the Golang packages, because Golang itself, the ecosystem around packages doesn't provide you any search. There is no there is an index, but there is no API to do the search. So I had to figure out what to do with this. But the project itself actually is not that relevant for the purpose of this video. The task that I put on myself is to make something final, something that solves one particular problem. It's finished in a way that somebody else can take it and start using it. So no like alpha, beta, MVP versions, something that is not that convenient to use, but something small, concise. And I actually wanted to practice this attitude of building like a product from solving a developer experience problem. Because usually with something like this, like once I understand how I should implement something, or even that I implemented the solution, usually I stopped and I didn't have enough pressure, maybe, or I don't know, motivation to actually, like pack it into something reusable for other people. Usually it's the finish line where you actually have to do these small tweaks, but they are actually matter. And with this project, I wanted to have this pressure on myself, or, well, not the pressure. I had this desire to actually finish this path from the problem till the project that I have that is open source and anyone can use it if they want. In the end, I managed to do this. On the GitHub, there is a repository with the plugin for the NeoVim that solves this particular problem. You can install this plugin and you can search for the Golang dependencies and install them right from inside the NeoVim with ability to search not just by the name of the package, but actually by the description, and there are some additional stuff. It took me around 15 short videos to finish this, so I would say on average it took me around something like 10 hours. Yes, again, I published everything on I published the whole process on the second YouTube channel, so if you want, you can take a look. What benefits I got? Well, first, I had a chance to learn again something new. One thing was to practice Golang even more, as right now I'm trying to dig into this language so I can use it for other personal projects, but before I want to practice on something smaller. Plus, it was the first time I actually wrote a plugin for something, and it was the first time I wrote a plugin for the NeoVim, and it was the first time I practiced the Lua programming language. So there actually were a lot of the new small things. But why you want to do something like this? At least from my perspective, you never know what beginning will lead you to something in the future. There is a famous email from the Linus Torvalds about the launch of his Linux operating system, and he wrote something like, it's not going to be something big or something serious. And you know what happened to the Linux right now, right? I'm not saying that my plugin is going to beat with Linux, but you never know what will be the consequences of you doing something like solving somebody's problem, publish it. And doing the open source, I think, is one of the ways to showcase your work and solve the problems that others might have too. Because even with this project, I thought that most likely I will be the only one who is going to use it. But even during development, I think I was somewhere in the middle of solving the problem around building the Golang index. A person came into the GitHub repository, opened the GitHub issue, and gave me actually some suggestions what I can try to implement the better index, which was actually very surprising for me. In a good way. So you never know. And another thing is to practice this attitude to finish stuff. I think, I know a lot of the developers, and that was, and it's still the issue for myself. Once we know how to implement something, we can lose the motivation to actually finish it. At least in the past had a lot of the unfinished projects, like small personal projects that I kind of made 70-80% of the stuff, and then I okay, now everything makes sense to me. I know how to build the rest, and the motivation kind of goes down. And I would not tell you that, find a problem that worth solving. I tried that attitude in the past because I heard that a lot, but I never managed to do this. So I decided, okay, but I have some personal problems. The problems that I have during my, for example, software engineering workflow, and I solving them from time to time. Why not to make a project from it? Maybe nobody will use it, and that's fine. I just want to practice this attitude of having a problem, build it, ship it, and make it usable for somebody else. And I guess that is the true OSS attitude. As for the project itself, I will post the links in the description, so you will be able to take a look at the plugin, and you'll be able to find the links to the video series of building this thing. But for now, I hope my thoughts on why and how I finally approached and published my first open source project, I hope it will help you to do the same. Find a problem that you know how to solve, pack it into something reusable, publish it, and even if one person apart from you will benefit from it, then I think that's cool. But for now, thank you for watching, and I see you in the next video. Bye bye.